Hello, Fallout 76ers. Now, today, if you can tell by the title of the video, I am going to try and explain and get through the entirety of how to do the whole raid correctly. And let's put it as you're running a 3-stack or a 4-stack. For starters, this build is specifically made for a heavy weapon in order to take down the shield. So that's why I have Ricochet, One Gun Army, and Bullet Shield. And then the entire rest of the build is made around using the Enclave Plasma Flamer, which is this dude right here. Okay? So this thing, Furious Rapid Intelligence, 4-star is honestly optional, Prime Capacitor, and then the Flamer Barrel, as long as you have a Flamer Barrel, stock, as long as you have a stock, but you need a scope. You do need a scope for it. Now, there is an alternative. You still can use the regular one, which is this one right here. This one is actually fully kitted out. I mean, the 4-star was just one that I felt like putting on there, but at the time I didn't really have a good one to put on. But aligned Flamer Barrel and aligned stock for something like the Enclave Plasma Gun, that is what you want. You also want that scope. You don't really need a night vision scope for that. And still the same 1, 2, 3 stars. I mean, you can put intelligence on there for extra damage, but I put it on for extra durability. And as a reminder, I am going only through stage 1 for right now. Now, before I do anything, I'm not going to actually press the button, but I am going to explain how I personally do it. Now, in order to take out the circuitry that are behind these panels here, all right, there are 4 of them surrounding the entirety of the Guardian. You have to step on these pressure plates right here. They're for each one. You have to at least put yourself on them, and then it'll open up the panel and you can shoot it. At least with this shotgun specifically, with how it's built, you would only have to shoot it like 2, maybe 3 times at max, and then it'll break. I've seen people do it with Gatling plasmas and other kinds of weapons, and it just doesn't work. But you need something with multiple projectiles and explosive, and then it'll break a lot faster. Now, when it comes to taking down the shield, Holy Fire is perfect for helping taking down the shield, but also keeping you alive while you're doing such a thing. Now, for power armor, it doesn't really matter what kind of power armor you pick, as long as you get intelligence, aristocrats, and through hikers. Now, through hikers is an optional thing. T65 is an optional thing. You can make your build have through hikers on it with perk cards, but you'll overall most likely do less damage, but that's okay. Either way, aristocrats and intelligence. Intelligence increases damage for energy weapons. You need the reflect in order to get more damage put onto the Guardian while you're shooting at it with a heavy weapon. Now, you could substitute the shotgun and the Holy Fire with just a regular pepper shaker, which I'm trying to get one without having to make one. I can make one, but I don't feel like it. So I'm just trying to get them from the rewards. Either way, after the shield is down, with your plasma rifle right here, you want to stand right here before you actually get on the floor itself, aim down sight, and start firing until it's actually just straight up dead. Oh, and one more thing before I forget. Reflective is a good 4-star, is a good 4th star to have on your power armor against the Guardian as well. So you have aristocrats for deflect, reflect, you have reflective for reflect, you have ricochet for reflect, you have bullet shield, so you have as much reflection as humanly possible so you can actually really do damage against something like the Guardian. Alright, so for stage 1, now let's say you are running a 2-stack. All right, if you are running a 2-stack, you will be there and your teammate will be here. So if one person can't hit the shield, the other person will be able to hit the shield. Now, with a 3-stack, it's very simple. You still have one person here, but you also have one person over there. So you're running a triangle formation in order to make it so at the minimum, 2 people have the ability to hit the shield. Now, if you are running a 4-stack, you will have to configure the entire thing in an X formation. So most likely, for while the shield is up, you will have to be behind the railing like this, and then for this side, you will most likely have to be over here. In order to keep that X formation, in order to make it so it's guaranteed that at least 2 people will be able to do damage to the shield, while other people might be able to reflect damage or just be a distraction. And now we can move on to stage 2. Now we are going to run to stage 2, and stage 2 and beyond requires an entirely different set of power armor. And right now, oh, I forgot. I have it in my inventory. How convenient. Now this is the new March update set that I'm using. And this is actually fully kitted out, each and every piece of my power armor. For Vulcans, for the Vulcan set, for the rest of the raid that I will use is Overeaters, Intelligence, Through Hikers, and Rejuvenators. Okay? Now, for stage 2, when you are a runner, just gonna back away from that. I don't know why that's happening. I never had a teammate use a Gatling plasma or whatever that sound is. So here's the thing. Now, if you are running a 4-stack, stage 2 is very specific, but also every stage has their own specific loot to it. That needs to be one thing that just has to be explained. Now, with the recent update, I don't know if this is actually true or not, but it seems as if the glitches to get fuel are completely gone, and there's a possibility that the people that actually got fuel from doing glitches to just have it in their inventory after they failed the stage or something like that, most likely got actually removed from their stash box or their inventory, or both. I have no idea. Either way, let's first talk about defending the drill. So, with something like this, all right, it's pretty simple, right? But if you are one of the main defenders, you want to be using a plasma caster just like this, all right? So you can do as much damage as humanly possible. Obviously, this is not the right build for it, but you would be using the science perk or whatever ghoul perks would help with energy related weapons, damage, and so on. Anyway, you as the main defender will just casually be able to stand here. Now, you might be thinking, well, I see all these mole miners and mole rats coming at him. Do I shoot at everything? And the answer is actually no, you do not. If you see mole miners with missile launchers, if you see mole miners with their mole miner gauntlets, those are the only ones that you kill. If they just have a shotgun, you leave them alone. You do not do any damage to them. Do not use a weapon that does explosive damage or area damage. Do not use a flamer. Do not use a cryolator that doesn't have the snowball attachment on it. Do not use explosive damage. Use something that can hit something hard, but also has a little bit of ammo capacity to it, but also doesn't explode. You need something like this. It works perfectly. Now, as soon as the mole miners that with shotguns start populating the entire area in the beginning, before they get any stronger, you will only have to deal with the mole rats. And just to make sure that we understand everything correctly, you kill every explosive mole rat that you see before they get down here. Because if they get close enough to the drill, they will jump toward it and explode, which is a big no-no, because explosive damage, which is why the missile launcher mole miners need to not be around, and only the shotgun mole miners are fine. The explosives do damage, and a lot of damage, to the drill. Not good. Now, what do the runners do? Now, here's the thing. With how difficult it is to survive in stage 2, especially if you are running. All right, now, realistically, with a 4-stack team, I would say that you can only do this with a 4-stack team. Now, 2 people will be here defending the drill, and me, ya boy, right here, this guy, will be up there, right up here, and just crouched and taking out the explosive mole miners, explosive mole rats, right? Now, as a runner, there will be 2 specifically, okay? One will go through this door, and the other will go through the door or pathways over here. And they will encounter mole miners that will, one-shot you. Because they said they fixed it. They said they made it actually somewhat manageable. They didn't at all. Bleed damage is still very not nice. I mean, it literally went from an uncontrollable amount of 9s to 300 and something, and it's still not manageable. So, either way, stage 2, if you get hit by the mole miners that are in the fuel area, very bad. Because if you even get hit once, you will still not survive. Which, an attempt can be made. And if you have a team that actually knows what they're doing. Now, one thing that I have noticed is that to some extent, they can't really attack if you're just backstepping away from them. Like, you can't sprint backwards. But for some weird reason, they just don't really feel like attacking if you just backstep. I mean, you can't really jump over them. It's possible that you can, but it's too risky. Either way, let's move on to stage 3. Now, stage 3 is somewhat specific as well, but also honestly pretty easy. So, stage 3, you can use something like an Elder's Mark or a Gauss minigun that I have right here. And also I have this Gauss minigun specifically configured for, honestly, the raid, but also this does just great overall damage. Now, with this stage, you will want one person here, one person over there, behind, and then one person over here. And if you're doing this for the first time, you might be saying, why is that? Well, each lettered area has a shield generator. And you want to take this out, all 3 of them, in order to expose these dudes right here that are being preserved in their containment chambers. Now, when this guy comes out, this guy is the most dangerous. This guy has a melee weapon that can probably 2, maybe even 3-shot you. And as soon as you get the shield generators down, you need to focus fire immediately on this guy. But one person at least should use a good old Endanger Syringer to just make it so they're 25% more susceptible to damage for the time being. So it makes them just that little bit more vulnerable and a little bit easier to take out. And then the other 2 are honestly pretty easy to take out. Now, don't forget that there are going to be repair bots going to each one of the generators. So stay in vision. Keep your vision on these 3 when they get out of their chambers and start running around. Know where they are, but also make sure that you are not too far away from the shield generator so you can take out the robots that will be trying to repair it. And trust me, when they get to it, their beams will repair this thing quickly, so you're gonna have to do damage really fast in order to take out these, but also the shield generator. So that should be well explained. Three people minimum is needed for this stage in order to actually at least make it easy. Now, we are going to move on to stage 4. All right, germs, welcome to stage 4. You might be looking at all these crystals for the first time. I have no idea, but if you are looking at them for the first time, you will most likely definitely be, what in the world do I do? Well, when you press this button, there will be unkillable enemies coming out of these caves and places and stuff like that. There will be rad toads down here that come out of their containment chambers, and there will be rad toads on the other side over here coming out of containment chambers, and mole rats and a lot of other creatures that'll just progressively come out. Now, the mole miner that most likely and usually comes out of this spot right here, the mole miner is the most of your worries, because the mole miner can still do a lot of damage to you, yes, but doesn't really have that much of an ability to insta-kill you. He can, if absolutely, but if he does hit you and you do have enough health, you can survive, and you will be stimming like crazy and most likely panicking. But do not panic. Now, as soon as this dude comes out, you want to go on a path. You need at least a shotgun for this. So you're gonna go on a path that destroys these crystals, and you'll also be wanting to run some kind of build that is most likely reverse onslaught, so you can immediately do damage to each crystal. Simple. All right. Now, pathway. The pathway will usually be, honestly, whatever feels right in the moment. So if he spawns here, you're most likely going to go that way. Do not, and I repeat, do not go through here. Now, this specific one does lead to the other side, and the mole miner will follow you through here. However, there is also, or actually no, there are also pathways down here, but the problem is, if you look right here, it's a dead end. Do not try these. You will not survive. Now, only the top pathway up here is something that works. Very much something that needs to be noted. In order to make sure that you don't get trapped, these other holes in the walls over here are also dead ends, but are also places where things come out of and spawn from. Same for the ones that are down underneath the other two right here. There will most likely also be a spot here. I know there's at least one open spot for the other side. Ooh, this is a tunnel that I've never been into before. That is actually brand new to me. Again, rad toads at the beginning spawn down here. And don't worry about the eggs. You could actually get staggered by the rad toad eggs, but that is not much to worry about. Now, the big crystals. There are 3 of them. One's here, one is here, and one is here. Do not break any of the big crystals until you have walked the mole miner through each and every one of these small crystals and dropped it. It would be officially gone, finito, out of the way by the time you get enough of these regular little crystals to do damage to it. Now, need I remind you, it's not just wherever it is, you just hit one and it does damage. It needs to actually be in proximity to a specific blast radius, which I would say is about, if we're talking about this crystal for reference, I would say right about where I'm standing right here is about the furthest it can be, maybe a little bit further, in order for it to actually have damage dealt to it. And you want to run, again, that mole miner through all these little crystals and really take a legitimately good pathway. Try and bring it like into this spot, maybe a little bit through here, and then over here, and then go up. and then around. You see just a little bit of a general pathway going on. And again, you can use this on either side, but it'll spawn over there, so you most likely have to start on the right. And then you can bring it through there, up there, and use the other small ones in these little spots on the side here if you need to. Now, with the rest of the mobs, you'll most likely be able to survive their attacks. If you have enough HP, if you have like overeaters and stuff like that, again, this power armor has overeaters on it. So you're gonna definitely, for certain, have enough health. I guarantee you will be fine. Now, what you want to do is attract as many mobs in the area as possible after the mole miner is down, and then just have them literally just dogpile on top of you. And then when there are enough, you pop the big crystal, and then for the next big batch, you pop this big crystal, you hit this, it blows up, you move on to the next pile. Now, something like Gulpers or Deathclaws or Wendigos, they have a chance. They could, I know the Deathclaws for sure will most likely survive the first big crystal. They will not survive the second. And for the last big group of enemies that will most likely mob you, you can use this big crystal right here, and then use whatever remaining ones for the rest. Now, you could do it the other way around, and you could just run around and make it so you take out as many creatures as possible while also dealing with the mole miner. You can do that, but when it comes to using the big crystal, you want as many things to be in proximity to its blast radius as possible in order to do damage to them. Again, the only way to actually do damage to the creatures is if you blow up these crystals and they are inside the blast radius. That is the only way to get it all to work. Oh, and also, obviously, Company T, Blight Soup. Blight Soup is a requirement. I'm surprised barely any people know that Blight Soup is even a thing. Like, literally, just go around this area here, you'll find the Blight, and then all you gotta do is collect it, and then you have the recipe for Blight Soup. You literally just need boiled water and Blight, and then you can increase your critical damage by 100%. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing that makes this somewhat complicated. You only need one person to do the entire stage. That's it. Although, you can still have the rest of your teammates waiting either A, up here, or for a little secret B option, in here. Now you might be saying, how is it possible to wait in here until stage 4 is complete? Well, if you know, you know. But either way, if you don't know, then you can just sit up here with the rest of your teammates, and then if the first runaround person doesn't exactly survive, well, that's fine, because they can just get substituted by somebody that's standing on top of the cage. Now, on to stage 5. Now, in all honesty, stage 5, in comparison to pretty much all the other stages, is an absolute cakewalk, and all you need is a build like this. Now, you don't really need Arms Keeper, and here's what I have. Now, I would personally think that substituting +5 luck for +5 agility would actually be a better thing, because you use agility more than you use luck, and there have been a couple of occasions where I still have +5 on luck, but I have an additional spot that I don't use, and I can't fix that because I have +5 on all of the legendary cards that I'm currently using, but those legendaries don't exactly get substituted to the spot that I need them to go, which is a bit of an issue, but that's okay. Now, with the snake, right as soon or right a little bit after it emerges, you use the Endanger All Syringer, you make it 25% more susceptible to all kinds of damage. Or, if I'm not mistaken, let me see what it does. Oh yeah, reduces target's resistances by 25% for 120 seconds, so for 2 minutes. Which is very good. That's not bad. And especially with, you know, something like this is an Elder's Mark. Now, you could use... Ooh, let's see. Let's see if you remember something. All right, we're going back to stage 1. With stage 1, you have the ability to run something like this. You have the definite ability to run something like this. This Elder's Mark is obviously suppressed, and it does use prime ammo, and it does maximize as much damage as humanly possible. Now the thing is, with this specific Elder's Mark, it works best with stealth, which is what you can use against the Guardian. You can use stealth against the Guardian in order to get boosted damage. You can use stealth against the Guardian to take down the shield. Sadly, the dragon, for some weird reason, I do honestly feel like got nerfed. There are alternatives to take down the shield in stealth. Something like a quad assaultron head with also, you might want to equip it and you need a really good critical in order to get that quad assaultron head to actually even just one shot. Legitimately, Angry Turtle or somebody like that, I forgot, made a video on the assaultron head, and it can one shot the Guardian's shield. Now, with taking down the Guardian itself, if you crouch, even if you don't have stealth perks on, you still have the ability while crouched to be in caution, which means you can take advantage of sneak attack damage, which is exactly what this can do with a suppressor on. Now, let's go over just real quick the perks that you can use in order to increase sneak attack damage. Covert Operative, and where is the other one? And Mr. Sandman right here. Now, I would say if you can make an actual functional stealth build that does incredible damage, and you stay concealed in sneak the entire time, you will want 20 agility and the Chinese stealth armor. Those are the two things that you will need, plus escape artist, which we already passed by, and at least 2 in sneak. You'll need all those requirements in order to actually get properly stealthed up in order to use Mr. Sandman and Covert Operative correctly, which hopefully you understand why Covert Operative and the other one are much better than some of these Onslaught perks. Now, I have this build specifically set up for non-stealth. If I am not mistaken, where is the... I am so lost right now for a sec. Okay, yeah. This build is specifically set up for a unsuppressed one. Now, I am using the Elder's Mark that I currently have favorited only because of its range. The unsuppressed, or actually no, the suppressed Elder's Mark has less range, less VATS accuracy, which is a bad thing. I have this one specifically crafted so I have a higher percentage to hit the target in VATS. Now, as we know, in comparison to the entirety of the arena, you have to be pretty close to the snake overall, especially with something like this, in order to actually even get 95%. I have awareness, I have a ton of luck, I have a ton of perception. I have all the things that I need in order to make the range or probability to actually make it as high as possible to get a hit in VATS. I have it as good as I can possibly make it. And the only reason why I don't have increased weapon speed and I have the increased chance to hit a target in VATS, the only reason why I swapped it is because I need it. You want more hits to occur in order to overall do more damage. The weapon speed is good, but honestly, you need to You need to be able to hit a target more in VATS than if you were to use increased weapon speed. With increased weapon speed, you will almost have to be literally kissing the snake on those freaking teeth just to make it so you maybe get 95% chance. Believe me, I've tried. Now, conductors mixed with rejuvenators is absolutely amazing. And with how this Elder's Mark is currently set up, it is perfect for pretty much infinite VATS. So by the time you have to reload, you'll still have AP left. And when you're done reloading, your AP will already be fully regenerated, which is absolutely amazing. And also, with how I have my Vulcan's power armor set up, I don't know why, but for some weird reason, my health regenerates at abnormally fast rates, which I will always take because it works very well. Now, let's go back to stage 1. I know, going back to previous stages, a lot is a little bit annoying. Limb damage, and suppressed weapons. Those are the two things that you can use to your hefty advantage. Stealth, suppressed weapons, and limb damage. That's what takes down the Guardian the quickest. Now, what actually takes down the Guardian the absolute quickest is limb damage, onslaught, bullet storm, and an Enclave plasma flamer. Taking down the shield, well, you can figure that out yourself. I already told you it before. Now, let's get back to stage 5. Now, I heard that on stage 5, if you want to do increased damage because there is now a crippled limb on the snake, do not forget that there are plates on the snake that you can hit in order to cripple, in order to then do more damage to something like the eyes. Now, you can do critical damage to the head, which is yellow damage, if people don't understand. Because, I mean, that's criticals, and critical damage, I would hope, is understood to be different. Now, the head, you can still do critical damage, but the eyes do the most damage to the snake. You need to hit the eyes. However, there is a low chance, or actually, the chances to hit the eyes in VATS are pretty low, which is why I have my Elder's Mark configured the way that it is, which is why I have my build configured in the way that it is, which is why this, that, and the other thing. It is configured in the exact way to take down the snake without having to worry about whatever. Now, you might be asking, why do I have power user on this build? You're using VATS. You're using VATS while in power armor. Your fusion cores will drain in such a way that you will actually not be able to comprehend how fast they drain. Now, you're going against the snake. It's not going to do energy damage. So, as a result, you can't use electric absorption in order to restore fusion core health. Just to put that out there. But hopefully, I have explained the entirety of the raid enough. I went through stage 1. I went back to stage 1 multiple times. I went through stage 2, explained everything that needs to be known and done. I went through stage 3 and made sure that everything is understood with the shield generators and how each one needs to be taken out. Again, the one in the middle pod, right behind the door that you need to go through in order to proceed to stage 4, you need to take that one out first because, again, the main dude in their Vulcan's power armor is the most dangerous. Because when they hit you with that melee weapon, oh boy, you better start running. Now, last thing. Oh yeah, we went over stage 4 pretty well, I personally think. Last thing was stage 5. If you see the tail pop up, it could be behind you. It could be next to the snake. It could be somewhere around the perimeter of the arena that you will be standing on. these rocks going from here to there will go as soon as the snake emerges. When the tail pops up, announce it, ping it, do whatever you need to do to make sure that the tail is taken out. You do not want the tail to do any damage to anything, because the only thing the tail can do damage to is the arena. And the tail can literally take out an entire quarter of the arena you are fighting on every time it hits the ground. You do not want that to happen. It's bad. Stage 5 is honestly the easiest one as long as you can survive. Same with stage 1. Stage 1's the same thing. Stage 5's the same thing. You just need to be smart. You need to know your place and all that other stuff in order to survive. And that is the entire raid explained in the best way that I can, in best hopes that some people actually listen and some people can actually adapt and learn from the amount of stuff that I just spewed out from my mouth. I literally just vomited onto this microphone for I don't even know how long. We'll figure it out in post. Either way, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to this entire walkthrough. If you are brand new to this raid, you need to know this information, because if you don't, people will be mad. I got mad because some person started stage 2 when I was already here at stage 5. They can do that, and it really pissed you off. It really got me mad. I can tell you that much for free. Because I was already at the snake. He started the drill. What am I supposed to do besides be mad? I literally had to restart the stage. I got the snake to emerge, and he started the drill just as it was emerging. So I got dragged to stage 2, which I didn't know if it broke stage 5, so I had to restart that entire raid. I wasted so much time just because people don't know how to do this raid correctly. So I hope to the highest extent that people will listen to what I have to say about how to do the raid correctly, because then we can actually work as efficiently as possible, take as little time to go through as many stages as possible. Again, highly suggested that exclusively for stage 2, you need 4 people at the minimum. For every other stage, for stage 1, you can do it by yourself. For stage 5, you can do it by yourself. Stage 4, you can do it by yourself, but just in case, you have backup, which would also be your other teammates. Stage 3, it might be possible to do it by yourself. I wouldn't, because the amount of back and forth you have to do in order to make sure the shield generators stay down so you can take out the 3 Ultra Sight people that are in those power armor sets. The three Vulcan power armor people. Those, I would say minimum would be 3. I would say a efficient minimum for stage 3 will be 3 people. 3 teammates in total at the minimum. You can do it with 2. It'll be difficult with 1, but why not? If you know how to do it correctly, you might be able to do stage 3 by yourself. You will not be able to do stage 1 by yourself. Guaranteed. Or not stage 1, stage 2. You will not be able to do stage 2 by yourself. Stage 2 requires at the minimum 4 people, and the defenders of the drill need to understand who to shoot at and who not to shoot at. And they need to understand what types of damage they can and cannot use in order to make it so it is easy for them. You can do it with 3 people. However, the fuel runners, to get the fuel cans to fuel up the drill, they need to know how to backstep, how to make sure they can maneuver maybe out of the way. They need to make sure that they understand the maze that is the entire fuel storage area. They need to understand that there are dead ends in the fuel storage area. There are dead ends in the fuel storage area. And it doesn't look like there are until you hit it. You don't want to hit a dead end when that ultra genetic mole miner is right behind you. Now, the ultra genetic mole miners in stage 2, last piece of advice that I'm going to have to give that is also very important. The ultra genetic mole miners in stage 2 will not follow you into the drill area. So if you want them to get off of you and you are close to getting out of the storage area into the drill area, go into the drill area real quick if you don't have any fuel and just have it follow you. When you're outside of the fuel storage area, it'll hit the mole miner will hit a wall. And once when it hits that wall, it'll teleport somewhere in the fuel storage area and it'll be away from you. So as a result, you have more of a chance of completing stage 2 because now the ultra genetic mole miner is somewhere else and not directly in front of the fuel storage area. It makes it easier. Now, I am pretty sure that I went over the entirety of the raid, stages 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It should be very self-explanatory. You can go back to whatever segment. I will hopefully be able to put timestamps in the video. If I can't, I will be sad, but we'll figure this out. We'll figure it out. Either way, thank you so much for watching. This is just something that I felt like I had to make because I'm tired of encountering people that don't know how to do the raid correctly. It's like they've been doing it for so long, but for some weird reason, as soon as they do something that is out of their comfort zone or just they haven't done before, it's gone. I mean, seriously, there are people that have done all 5 stages and they don't know how they did it and they can't replicate how they did it, which I feel is a bit concerning. So I'm just putting this video together to get a bit of a walkthrough made in order to make it so hopefully getting through the entirety of the raid is actually a little bit of a simpler walk than what it was before. I want people to be able to go through all 5 stages of the raid, but honestly, stage 2 with the ultra genetic mole miner is so difficult to get through that a fair amount of people, even very high levels, I was literally on a team with me being the lowest level, and I'm level 800 and something. I'm over level 800 as of today. And still, I had people in their thousands not being able to, in a 4-stack, me included, we were not able to get through stage 2. I feel like a 4-stack should be able to get past stage 2, but the ultra genetic mole miners, specifically in stage 2, literally do so much damage that it's not easy to complete at all. Like every other stage, they have their quirks to them, but it's at least possible to do. It honestly seems pretty close to almost impossible to complete stage 2. It can be done, yes, but in order to make sure that the fuel runners actually do a great job, they need to be maneuverable. They need to know where to go. They need to have movement speed just clocked up to the cap. They need to make sure that they understand how to possibly evade the ultra genetic mole miners' attacks. They need to know where their other teammate is. If their other teammate's on the other side, that's perfectly fine. But if they're both in the exact same spot, that's going to prolong the time that has passed. Now, with stage 2, most likely, by now, you've gone through stage 2, you've tried stage 2, and you've most likely understood that the more time that you take in stage 2, the stronger the mole miners and mole rats get. The harder they are to take out. One shot from Madame Pedro won't do anything no more. Okay? Stage 2 needs to be done in under 4 minutes. If you pass that 4-minute mark, being able to kill the future mole miners and mole rats that spawn will be less and less possible. You don't want to deal with that. Now, that will be 100% it for the entirety of the raid, walkthrough, explanation, bobbity boopy. Hope you enjoyed. I got nothing else to say. Have a good rest of your day.